Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Shit's about to hit the fan. Welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays on Wrestling with Freddie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays with Uncle Frederick. Mr. Jeff Dye is on location in the great state of Idaho and cannot join us, so you're stuck with me. This Sunday, August 27th, is AEW All In from Wembley Stadium. They have surpassed the 80,000 paid attendance mark. This show will be a crazy success. Hot take of the week. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. How are you? You're stuck with me. We're lonely, but we're together. We're going to talk about a little bit of Collision. It was the worst Collision since the show started, so we won't talk too much about it, and we'll mainly talk about All In and the card and give predictions, maybe. So Collision started weird. It's really tricky. The opening of this show is very old school, and there's only one way to get it right, and that's when everyone has an energy that is around the same level, right? Because what they do is they cut between 2 to 4 different little segments of wrestlers, letting you know what you're in store for tonight, which is a very like 1987 vibe to it, which I love. And when they've gotten it right, they've gotten it really right. Especially when the Acclaim does it. It should only be the Acclaim. But tonight it did not work. Everybody was all over the place. The Jay White one was the only one that, and it's the same energy he did in the other one, but that should be the energy, just at like a 7. You should be at between a 6 and a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. Get people hyped. Let people know who you are. If you need to, if you don't need to let people know who you are, you let them know what you're about, right? So I don't want to say why I don't think this one worked, because I don't want to dump on people, but it just didn't friggin' work. And then we get to the matches. Look, the match between Dalton Castle, I think is his name, and Jay White was really freaking good. The dude can wrestle. I don't know him that well, but his moves in the ring are great. Like, that guy can wrestle. But they cut away from his opening while he was talking, man. Like, it came off like a mistake, and there was no reason to, unless you don't like what he's saying. So that was really weird, because you could still hear his voice, but now you're just looking at a turnbuckle. And then the billboard thing, here's what I don't like about the Jay White billboard. It's bigger than Jay White. It makes a guy who looks like a star look smaller than he is. And that doesn't need to happen. That should not happen, period. That's like an old Wild West rule, right? Like in the old Westerns they would legit make the doors smaller on all the set houses and the saloon doors smaller to make the cowboys walking through them look way bigger, right? And then if they wanted the women to look more, petite and demure, they would make the doors bigger so that it looked like when they were coming through, they were much smaller and needed rescuing and saving from the bad guys that wore the black hats and the black bandanas. That's like an age-old rule, and that's one of those rules that I feel shouldn't be broken or evolve. Make your stars look big and powerful. We talked about the power of a big head. There's also the power of just being big in stature. So it was weird. And the Rusev Hobbs thing was even weirder. The Rusev promo, his energy was right, but it was a little all over the place, and the verbiage just wasn't there. The message trying to be communicated just didn't get through. But his energy was really good. It got scattered because he was trying to say so much and trying to tell you why he is the way he is, probably a little too long in the beginning. But his energy's there. There's a promo in Rusev that's a great promo. And it's always harder in your second language to pull that off, but it's there. And I see what he was trying to do. It was just a little too all over the place. And it didn't give Hobbs much to react to, because there were no sort of sticking points. Like a promo that length probably needed like 3 points that were boom, let him react to that. Bam, how do you feel about that? Not with dialogue, you just let Hobbs react. And then a final one at the end, boom, I am the Redeemer, or whatever he wants to say. Boom, that's the third one. And there weren't any. It just sort of, when it ended, it ended. So this was a weird episode. If it wasn't for Christian and Darby at the very end of this, which was just a sick match, man. Christian's still so freaking good, and he looks great. I don't know how he's still pulling this off. WWE was tripping, but he killed it, and Darby killed it too. So that saved the show. But let's get into the pay-per-view. All in England. They love their wrestling. They respect their wrestling. They show up and show out for their wrestling, whether John Cena goes there or not. And they get a great show. It's going to open with the Aussie Open versus MJF and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor World Tag. You guys already know, if you listen to Wednesday's show, my prediction on this one. Aussie Open will win and retain the championship, and Adam Cole will turn on MJF during the match because he said he's willing to do anything and everything to win the title. Dun, dun, dun. CM Punk, the champion. He calls himself the real champion, even though he is not acknowledged as the real champion. That would be Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Samoa Joe. Even the company puts the real world championship in quotation marks because it is not. Don't forget that. This will result with CM Punk finally winning, since Collision is basically his show. He's the showrunner on it. This match was born from that. I don't think he's going to let Samoa Joe take that championship because Joe would throw it away because it's not legit, right? Like, he wouldn't hold on to it pridefully. So Punk's going to hold on to it pridefully. That's his story. And it's a good story. So CM Punk will win. Then we get to the hardest match to call of the night. Hikaru Shida, Holy Shida, the champion, the champ of champs, versus Toni Storm, versus, who was the former champion, by the way, versus Saraya, who we love as Paige from WWE, versus Britt Baker, the former AEW Women's Champion before Toni Storm, and probably the longest holder of the title since the company's inception. I know Thunder had it for a while, but I think Britt had it twice in her. I think she's a 2-time champion. This is a hard one. However, even though she hasn't had a ton of story leading to this belt, I think Britt Baker is going to win the belt. I think when she had it, it was at its most stable. And I think it was at its most respected when she had it. I think Toni Storm was a great champion. I'm not sure why they took it from her. Look, I love Shida, but again, when you're not able to communicate in your primary language, it's always going to be a harder promo. She speaks pretty damn good English, but it's her second language. It could be her, I don't know how many languages she speaks, but it's not her primary language. So the promos are going to the message will get lost to a lot of television fans. It's not just wrestling fans. It's the way it is in the UFC as well. Saraya, I don't know if she wrestles enough to win the match. I think she's in there to be a threat, and she's also a teammate of Toni Storm. And Toni Storm could very easily get it back. She's looked great lately. The makeup and hair looks they've been doing on her, I know it sounds weird to say, but they've been so unique and old school, like movie star Marilyn Monroe. I like all these like old school legends, and she's looked awesome, and she's wrestling like that too, which is really cool. So she could easily win, but I think Britt Baker is going to pull it off so that they can kind of restabilize the championship, reestablish some credible storylines for her and, opponent wise, and then find someone who's going to be the next person that'll be able to dethrone Dr. Britt Baker. FTR, the champs, versus the Young Bucks in a tiebreaker tag team championship match. FTR called them out. The Young Bucks accepted. FTR's last match, which was against Brian Cage and Big Bill, And by the way, Big Bill and Ricky Starks had a good moment on Collision. Ricky Starks is a freaking star. He's their top heel. He had a cut segment too that was really, really good. Like a backstage vignette. A vignette is what it was. And I thought they pulled it off really well. Anyway, they told a really good story against Brian Cage and Big Bill. Like a really good story where I forgot. It made me remember why I love tag team wrestling. Because I don't always get behind it. But man, these guys are super, super good. And the Young Bucks, while I'm not the biggest fan of their gimmick, like their the look and the posturing and all that, it's just not my style. Those fools can wrestle and they can move. I wish they didn't get hurt and injured doing some of the crazy stuff they did. But man, can they move. I'm not as hip to their history as a lot of our listeners are, but I know it's a tiebreaker. And I know FTR must have lost the last one, and that's why they're looking for this rematch, so to speak. And I'm really looking forward to the match. And I think if it's anything close to what they did with those big guys, that it could steal the show and be a match of the night contender. That said, I think the winners are going to be the Young Bucks. I think they're featured more on, the only reasoning behind this I'm giving you now is because they're more heavily featured on television than FTR is on the higher rated show. That said, I could see either team winning. I'm picking the Young Bucks because of my network executive mentality. Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. And I got to say, I love the pairing of Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. AR Fox can wrestle his ass off, and I think this is a good way for him to get some shine on him and his character through Swerve. Swerve has worked with a lot of different people, man. So you know he's trying, and you know he's not opposed to trying to get other people over and sharing spotlight. So I think it can be really good for AR Fox. That said, Darby Allin and Sting are winning this match. They've been partners longer. Their chemistry is stronger, and they're going to win a signature Darby Allin match, the Coffin match. This will be Jeff's favorite of the night because it has a coffin in it. Next up, the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page versus Bullet Club Gold with Juice Robinson, Jay White, and Konosuke Takeshita. So I'm not too educated on the story and the beef with these guys. This is just a guess, but I'm going with Kenny Omega. I'm learning about Kenny Omega. I don't know why so many people don't like him. Everything he's done in the last year that I've watched, I've been like, yeah, man, it's pretty cool. He loses to guys that you wouldn't think he would lose to, puts them over, sells super big. I don't know what people's beef is. He's not the best on the mic. Maybe that's why they're not, relating to the message as much. But yeah, his work in the ring. I'm not a professional anything except an actor and father. Thank you very much. But yeah, man. So I'm going to go with Kenny Omega just because I don't know what all the hate's about. Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. I'm going to go with the Aussie on this one because Chris puts Muggs over and works really hard at it. And I think they want to establish this Ospreay dude as a legit threat. And I think they want to do it quickly. And Chris didn't have an opponent, and this makes it work. And I think they have a chance with someone like Will Ospreay. So long as he stays healthy. I know he's a guy that's taken a lot of injuries because some of his stuff is just insane, which is why you love him so much, but it still shelves him a lot. But yeah, I'm going with Ospreay on this one in the upset victory, although it shouldn't be an upset. Second to last, Eddie Kingston and the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Cero Miedo and Rey Fénix. And the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta versus Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, and 3 wrestlers to be announced in a Stadium Stampede match. It's been 24 hours since Wednesday's show, and I still don't know what a Stadium Stampede match is. But I'm assuming it's going to be like 6 dudes against 6 dudes beating the heck out of each other. I was going to say shit. And I was like, don't say shit, say hell. And then instead of hell, I said heck. That's just pathetic. You guys deserve better on an unsanctioned Thursday. If Jeff was here, he would have said shit. Anyway, Now I've said it way more than I even wanted to say it and completely wrecked the end of the show. Finishing up, who's going to win? Eddie Kingston's squad, son. What? The main event. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. The sweetest, kindest babyface of all time. And a not so bad heel. I know. Freddie, he poured drinks in the faces of children. They were hot. They were hot and thirsty. And a lot of those kids didn't have the strength to lift the glass to their mouth to drink. And Maxwell noticed that because he's an empath. And he felt their pain and he helped them as quickly as possible. He didn't have enough time to sit there and help them sip. That's their parents' responsibility. Where were the parents? But Maxwell Jacob Friedman did it. And that's a babyface move, if you ask me, hydrating the parched all over this great country. And now all over the world in Wembley Stadium when he takes on Mr. Adam Cole, baby, his tag team partner, his bro Chacho, his best friend for life. Even when he insults Roderick and calls him a bland bitch, Adam still can't quit him. They love each other that much. I've told you guys what I think is going to happen leading up to this match. I think Adam Cole will have just betrayed Maxwell a couple hours before this match happens. Max is going to come out injured and hurt. This is probably going to go the exact opposite direction, by the way, and I'll be 100% wrong. But I got a 50-50 shot. Come on. And I'm going to pick MJF with the babyface victory over Adam Cole. And then the wrinkle in the story to keep their story going, because there's not a contender for Max right now, is Adam Cole the heel, then trying to get the title from MJF. And maybe they have a little back and forth or something. But I think MJF retains the championship. Adam Cole is a heel after that. I think Adam Cole might get it on the next one, maybe. It'd be sick if they had Adam Cole win. I don't think it's quite time to take the belt from Max yet. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody had a great week. I believe Mr. Jeff Dye will be back with us next week, and you won't have to miss him anymore, and neither will I. Make sure you guys tune in to us every Wednesday and every Thursday. This show exists because of you, because you share it with your friends. I don't know how you do it, but if it's through social media, thank you. If it's through word of mouth, thank you. If you're just driving your friends because you're cool and you're the designated driver and you play in your car and they're like, hey, who's this a-hole? And you're like, oh, that's Freddie, but he's my kind of a-hole. And they're like, yeah, he's not too bad. I thank you. Please give those reviews, give all those 5-star stuff. Thank you for listening. We'll be here every single week. Peace. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura podcast network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.